Morning peeps, good morning everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. I said I want to do a live, so we're going to go live this Sunday at 7 o'clock. So please join me if you can. We can react to Benavidez versus Morale, which I think is going to be an incredible fight. I really do. In terms of fights that have been announced so far for 2025, this is the one I'm most looking forward to. And that's quite a big statement considering that we've got Dubois, Parker and Beterbiev, Bivol. And I'm so intrigued by Boatsy Smith, but this one, I just think this one is going to be special. On yesterday's Ariel and Ade show, I actually asked Ariel if you could watch only one. So Beterbiev, Bivol 2 or Benavidez, Morale, which one are you watching? And he kind of stuttered through it. For me, it's Benavidez, Morale. Just because I have no idea how this fight's going to play out. I kind of feel like I know what I'm going to see with Beterbiev, Bivol again. So yeah, we can react to that. We can talk about the fight card, the Ovo Arena boxer, Adam Azim in action, Callum Simpson in action as well. So look, loads to talk about. So Sunday, 7 o'clock. Please join me. Put it in your diaries. All right. Let's see what there is to talk about today. Beware Martin Boli ? Or beware the heavyweight hype. Okay. I get it. I get it. Like, I've hyped Boli a lot. Like, I've called him George Foreman 2.0. And a few people rightly have shut me down, like, Ade, calm down. I'm not saying he is George. I'm saying that he fights like George Foreman. Like, his style of fighting reminds me of George Foreman. I'm certainly not saying he is like George Foreman in terms of like how good George Foreman was. Like, George Foreman, look, for me, I've said this about George Foreman a few times. If Muhammad Ali didn't beat George Foreman in Rumble in the Jungle, I think George Foreman would have reigned for 10 years and could have gone down as the greatest heavyweight of all time. That's how good I think George is. So I'm not saying Boli is George Foreman. I'm just trying to say his style reminds me of George Foreman. I'm happy to clear that up. As for hype, yeah, we could be overhyping him. How good was Jared Anderson? Was Jared Anderson ready for that step up? The way in which he dealt with Jared Anderson was impressive, right? I mean, you can only go on what you last saw, and what I last saw was fantastic. It was destructive. He took some good shots from Jared Anderson, who clearly had a plan to go to the body. He ate those body shots like they were nothing and just walked through him. I mean, I think he's very, very good. I think he could beat every heavyweight fighting right now minus Alexander Usyk. I think Usyk still might have too much for him. That's how highly I rate Boli. But, I mean, we've got to see it. He's got to get past F.A. Jagba in impressive fashion to keep this hype train going. And then he's got to be matched up against someone in the top 5 or top 6. Like, Zhili Zhang was such a good fight. I'm so disappointed that didn't happen. Maybe the winner of Zhang Cabial. Maybe the winner of Dubois Parker. We'll see. McGuigan's focused on personal development of Adam Azim. Yeah, obviously Adam Azim in action on Saturday, coming off that really good win against O'Hara Davis. I mean, look, 140 division. There's going to be a time when they're going to have to go with Adam Azim, regardless of how young he is. If the talent's there, the talent's there. And 140 is frightening. 140 is frightening. It's, and I said the same thing about Dalton Smith. I spoke about Dalton the other day. And those two looked like they were on a collision course. Now that collision course is completely, right? 140 is frightening. But he's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. I mean, I like the steps they're taking. And you just have to be very careful with the next 2 or 3 steps, because I think Dalton's going to get there quicker because Dalton's age, right? I think Adam's going to be held back a little bit. But when they do let him go, there's no stepping back. He's got to go and show us what he can do. Craig Richards preparing for Last Chance Saloon under Tony Sims. Okay, so he's left Shane McGuigan, was with Shane for a couple of fights. We haven't seen Craig since the Willie Hutchinson defeat. You know what? The more I think about that defeat, the more it isn't as bad as it was at the time. At the time, I think everyone had Craig as a favorite. Those in the know that there were some people that are glued to boxing and they were like, no, Willie's good. I hadn't seen it. And I think we saw how good Willie was against Boatsy. Like, he hurt Boatsy a few times. So that defeat isn't the worst. The thing is now, by the way, I kind of, Tony Sims is a bit strange, that one, because he was with Tony's brother Peter. So is he going to go back to the gym where Peter trains fighters as well and kind of be with Tony and Peter's over there watching? It's quite weird. But look, Tony Sims is a good trainer. And it kind of is Last Chance Saloon. This is a big ask against McCrory. You're going over to Belfast. McCrory's a good fighter. has campaigned recently at super middleweight. You might remember he got knocked out by Balanga. But at light heavyweight, he was actually doing some good stuff. I think he won the IBO light heavyweight title. So he's a good fighter. So these are two fighters that are needing a big win, and they're matched against each other. I'm not quite sure who to go on that one. Diego Pacheco welcomes fight with Edgar Balanga. Yeah, it's the most obvious fight to make, like the most obvious. We kind of spoke about it the other day, so there's no need to bring it up again. All right, before we see what else is out there, have you guys watched the face-off I did for Joseph Parker against Daniel Dubois? Obviously Frank Warren in there, Andy Lee in there. I'm a bit disappointed that Frank was there, and I brought this up at the time. I thought it should have been Don Charles. Like, if Andy Lee's there as a trainer, I mean, it should be Don Charles. I mean, if you're going to have two promoters like we did with Frank and Eddie for the AJ Dubois one, or two trainers. I think a trainer promoter is a bit strange. But yeah, it's only 8 minutes. So if you've not seen it, go and watch it. It was actually very nice and easy and slightly boring until the last minute, where I think Dubois told Joseph to shut up. And I sensed Joseph's anger. And then Dubois kind of just stared at Joseph, and he kind of gave him this stare that wall. And I felt like we were a few seconds away from a push and a pull. That's what I thought, a push and a pull. You know, with me doing these face-offs, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of doing them. I'm the biggest fan of doing them when I feel like a face-off is needed. Like, I grew up on Max Kellerman doing face-offs, and Max only did them, or it felt like they were only needed for the very big fights, like the biggest of the biggest. And then obviously Johnny Nelson's done an incredible job doing them at Sky. And again, Sky only seemed to do them for the biggest fights. I feel like now they're just being done for everything. And the worst thing is, with these Riyadh season cards, obviously TNT do them. So it'll be Bunsey or Carl Frampton that does them. And Sky does them. And I do them. And sometimes when I don't want to do them, someone else does them. So what I'm getting at is that you got 3 broadcasters all doing face-off for the same fighters. It's lost its magic. It's lost its magic. I mean, again, I think that they should be reserved for only the biggest fights. I feel like we're doing them for every single fight. And it loses it. Honestly, it's lost it. Like, obviously, look, Eubank Ben. Yes, I will want to do that one. Absolutely. And others as well. But not everything. You know, I was at TalkSport the other day, and someone actually asked me about Daniel Dubois. Like, how good is Daniel Dubois? Do I think Daniel Dubois is going to reign supreme for the next 5 or 6 years? And I kind of had to separate both questions. On the first one, how good is Daniel Dubois? Very good. Very good. And it's not because he's a world champion, because, as you guys know, there are former world champions that weren't very good. Bermain Stavern weren't very good. Charles Martin weren't very good. But Daniel Dubois is very good. He's not as one-dimensional as some people think. I think a lot of people maybe just think that he just rushes in and uses his head and elbows and everything he can and gets the job done. No. He's thinking on the job. He's thinking he will go to the body. Even against Hrgovic, yeah. I remember that fight. Lucky I was ringside, but against Hrgovic, he kept on coming in straight lines against Hrgovic. Hrgovic is just teeing off on him. Boom, boom, boom. And then, I think round 4 or 5, he started coming in angles. Started dipping. And I was like, okay. He clearly knows what he's doing. He's good at setting traps. He's fast. He's built like a tank. But the biggest thing is confidence. Like, his confidence right now is through the roof. In that face-off, he almost had disdain for the fact that he's fighting Parker. Like, you know, like, I'm not overlooking Parker, but I'm going to run through you. And I was like, geez, okay. So his confidence is through the roof, and you get confidence by your performances. And these performances in his last 18 months have been incredible. Honestly, I think they've been incredible. I always go back to even the losses. I go back to the Usyk defeat, going and fighting in front of a predominantly Usyk crowd in Poland. And causing the champ some problems. Obviously, Usyk adjusted and found a way, but causing him some problems. And then Jarrell Miller. And say what you want about Jarrell Miller as a boxer and who is Jarrell Miller beaten, and I think that's always the argument. Jarrell Miller had 100 pounds on him, and is confident, is big, and he's strong, and at times questioned and pushed Daniel Dubois, and Daniel Dubois found a way. And it's not just the beating of Jarrell Miller's a stopping of Jarrell Miller. Like, he stopped him. Didn't have to. He was winning on the scorecards. He could have fought on the back foot. But he thought, no, fuck that. My way of fighting is attack, attack, attack. And he got the job done there with Jarrell. Hrgović, the bully. Like, I wish I could explain to you behind the scenes how much Hrgović was like, just like blasé, like, I'm going to just destroy this guy. Like, this guy ain't shit. Honestly, it was so blasé. That obviously fed through to Daniel Dubois' camp. And remember, it was Dubois that called out Hrgović. I don't know if you remember that little video he did where he kind of hits the bag and he says, I'm your daddy. He wanted that fight. Bear in mind, Hrgović bashed him up in sparring a few years earlier. And Dubois was like, no, I still want that fight. So underdog against Hrgović, beat him. And then AJ, my guy, beat him easily, convincingly. So, yeah, he's a very, very good heavyweight. So let's park that for a second. Will he reign supreme? I don't think so. I don't know if the reign ends February 22nd. I think it's a close fight. I edge to Dubois. I think Parker's got some things that could cause Dubois problems. But it's more like, I don't think, I mean, unless Usyk was 31, I would put my money on Usyk reigning supreme for a decade, like Vladimir Klitschko did. I don't know if that happens in this heavyweight landscape anymore. I think there are a number of heavyweights that can beat each other. I just spoke about Boli. Like, if Boli were to fight Dubois tomorrow, I think I might edge to Boli for some reason. I don't know what it is. So there are a number of heavyweights that can beat each other. So I don't think he'll reign supreme. I think he'll win a lot more than he loses, but I expect him to lose a couple, just because I think everyone is so closely matched. I think there are at least 6 or 7 of the top 10 that are very closely grouped. I mean, we're seeing Zhang versus Cabello, that they have to be in there. Dubois, Parker's in there. Boli's definitely in that conversation. What's going to happen with AJ? I think they can all kind of beat each other. And I feel that belt's just going to be tossed around a bit. I removed Alexander Usyk because I'm still not sure Usyk will fight again. He's 38 tomorrow or today. And I do wonder what's going to happen with him. But all the others, I almost feel like they can all beat each other. So I don't think he's going to reign supreme. I don't think there's a heavyweight out there right now, again, removing Usyk, that will reign supreme. I think the belts are going to, someone might defend it a couple of times, then they'll lose. And I think Dubois is that. That's not me having a dig at him. I think he's incredible. I just think that it's very close between number 2 and number 8. That's what I think it is. But I do think we've got a really good fighter in Daniel Dubois. And we'll see. I mean, if he knocks off Parker, then fuck me, his confidence is going to be through the roof. If he knocks off Parker, and I mean stops him, mate, his confidence is going to be crazy. All right, let's have a look and see if there's anything else. I was speaking to Clarissa Shields yesterday. We actually had Clarissa Shields and Sky Nicholson on. Clarissa Shields fights on Sunday at heavyweight. 175 pounds, I think she said she's going to weigh. I do feel sorry for Clarissa. I do. I mean, she's fighting a 42-year-old. Is it Danielle Perkins? My memory, I think I think it might be Perkins. But she's fighting a 42-year-old who's only had 5 fights. This is all she can get. There's no one at 160. There's no one at 168. She's been talking about Shadisha Green, but not much interest in that fight. I asked her yesterday about coming down to 147, because there was a lot of talk about her coming down to 147. Amanda willing to go up, and that's a super fight, but she ain't making 147. I mean, she ain't made 154 for about 4 years. She ain't making 147 when she's fighting at 175. It's not happening. So yeah, I do feel sorry for her. She deserves more, but like, where are the Olympians? Like, where is Clarissa Shields? Where is Clarissa Shields 2.0? Where are these girls? Doesn't seem to be anyone. No hype about anybody coming through. So yeah, it's unfortunate, because if she was within the 135 to 147 bracket, fucking hundreds of fights. Because she's above it, there ain't much. All right, talking about not much, there aren't many stories here as well either, so it's a short one. But yeah, we will do a video tomorrow. We'll try and do, I'm actually filming the first episode with G-Man tomorrow. There's a couple of great things that we're filming, like great subjects, great new ideas. Hopefully you guys like them. I think you will like them. Not just your usual sit down and talk stuff. I'm trying to think outside the box. But yeah, we'll do videos tomorrow. We'll do a video on Saturday, and we're live on Sunday.